So I'm delighted to be joined by two-thirds of comedy group Foil Arms and Hog. So guys, thank you very much for your time. I mean, you're on tour at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, we are. Yes, we are.
How's that going?
It's going good, and we should say quickly that the third member is just on tour to the bathroom or something like that. He'll be joining us very soon. He's like, this is at 4, and he's like, yeah. Just give me a sec. Like, but it's
I mean, whereabouts are you guys at the moment?
At Dublin. We're in Dublin now. We're in our office preparing to do our weekly video.
Oh, so this is where you actually film the sketches?
Yeah, we film everything here. It's I
wow.
show the camera around, but it's in an absolute heap. You can pretty much just see the Egyptian statue, which we thought was going to make it into last week's video, but didn't. Or did? Barely made it in.
I was going to ask about that, but I was almost slightly embarrassed too. Well, is that for a sketch this week now? Or?
No, that was last week.
That was last week's sketch. Oh, I see.
Yeah, we filmed a song of ours called "Hard to Break Free from a Union," which is
I saw that. It was great. Our readers won't like it, but that's another matter.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, if I'm right, so you guys started at university, didn't you? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, what was kind of the point at which you thought like this is actually working as a career?
It's a very slow process, really.
Very slow. Almost just fell into it. Like we just started gigging, and people started booking us and paying us.
Hi,
how are you? There you go.
We have all 3/3 of Foil Arms and Hog.
The camera is like in such a way that it makes Hog look absolutely tiny.
Yeah.
Like you could be on the shoulder.
Looks like you're very far away, but yeah.
I can do two members of Foil Arms and Hog and their son if that makes people feel better. Whatever works best.
Yeah, we started in university, and I guess we were maybe 3 or 4 years in, and it was the recession in Ireland, so we weren't really under that much pressure to get any other jobs because there weren't any other jobs. And then I think one day someone was like, "There you go, well done on the gig. There's 50 quid." And we were like, 50 quid. And you frame things in your mind. You're like, we only did 15 minutes of work and we got 50 quid. And we're like, that's like €200 an hour. And then someone points out, you spend like 4 days putting it together and another 10 days writing it. And
then remember we walked out of the gig onto the street.
That's our first ever gig.
And the first ever paid gig. Our car was clamped, and the release fee was
50 quid. Actually,
no! So your entire gig fee went onto the. Oh no!
Yeah,
it's a great story though. It's almost worth it for the story. I mean, did you find kind of like because obviously you're massive now. Did you find your rise was kind of gradual, or were there like a few sketches that went really viral and really kind of you blew up, like kind of almost overnight with them?
Kind of a bit of both, really. Like we've always had it kind of go gradual with the occasional bump, a little bit of a bump, and but it was funny. We had I guess a few sketches on Brexit that did quite well for us in the UK. They weren't necessarily leaning on any particular side. They were just being informative, but in a really silly way. And I found then that we had announced a tour on the back of all these videos, and someone said, your overnight success isn't deserved. What about all those comics who've had to? And he's like. Yeah, he said, "Where's your toilet tour of the UK?" Instead of playing all these big venues. And so I sent this particular commenter, I sent him a link to a gig that we were playing 10 years ago, which was already on our Facebook for a place that didn't even have toilets.
Yeah.
And the toilet tour.
Yeah.
The internet does that. Yeah, it makes you look like you did it overnight, and you don't have all the background of like doing all the hard yards.
Because you've been on at it for a very long time. At what point did it become like financially sustainable to do as a kind of full-time job? I mean, was that straight out of uni, or was there a bit of a gap?
Oh no way!
A couple of years ago, really.
Yeah,
I think it's We're maybe 3-4 years now where we're like
3 or 4 years where you can actually have a living, I guess a wage or whatever you want to call it. You can pay yourself a wage
where you can look your parents in the eye
and
say I'm all right.
So before that you had like normal jobs as well and kind of did this on your spare time, or
not really? We were on the dole for years. And we did all sorts of like like courses where you're on like this back to work scheme and where you're basically getting paid the dole, but it's like you run your business and stuff.
Yeah.
No, it's the only way to do it. You have to immerse yourself in it fully and I kind of not really have any sort of a plan B, and you can kind of spend all the day working, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing that I was reading an interview you guys did with, I can't remember who it was with, it was some other publication, but one thing I found was really interesting was that your business model seems to be quite based around live shows rather than your sketches. I mean, I kind of assumed that your sketches would make tons of money from advertising revenue.
Oh yeah.
And apparently that's not the case.
No,
you get all these like, and you can go online to these websites that show like they predict how much money
Yeah.
YouTube makes.
Yeah.
And we were like, whoa, like 6 figures off YouTube. No, but we do something like we turn off a lot of the ads on our videos on like YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's like, we don't want pop-up ads in the middle of the video or just pop-ups that come on the screen during the video as well, but you can still see 90% of the video. We've turned them off just because they kind of interrupt, we think, for the viewer, the actual comedy of the video. So we only have pre-roll ads now, so the majority of the revenue is gone from that. I think it's not much anyway had we turned them on.
I mean, did you used to get more? Has it been like algorithm changes or something, or has it always been pretty
most
weak?
of our subscriber base is based in Ireland. A lot of it is anyway. So, and you're relying then on people targeting the Irish market for advertising, which nobody really. So
we've no ads on Facebook at the moment, do we?
No ads on Facebook.
So we only make money from the 1 out of 3 ads on YouTube.
So you essentially kind of like it's the touring that makes the money. That's what makes it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, we only do the videos so people come to the shows.
I mean, are the shows, is it some of the same material as the videos? Is it kind of quite a lot of overlap, or is it more different?
There's only a small bit of overlap, really.
Yeah, and that's just because we ended up filming the live sketch and putting it on our YouTube. That's why it might be similar occasionally. But no, we write basically a new hour of live material every year and kind of then premiere it at the Edinburgh Fringe and
and then work on it.
Yeah, and then add an hour then of older sketches from our previous 10 shows, stuff that we like or haven't done in a while, and then put it together and
the hits kind of thing afterwards.
Yeah, play the hits.
So much harder to write the stage stuff. We spend months and months and months writing stage sketches, and we spend a couple of days writing a YouTube video, or a day, or a few hours. So it's it's disproportionately weighted to stage.
Yeah. I mean, do you find you get different reactions? Because I know you guys have toured some, I think you toured America, haven't you, in Australia?
Yeah.
I mean, do you get very different reactions from different countries, from the UK versus Ireland versus the US? Or is it kind of quite similar?
You haven't said anything in ages.
Yeah. Can I answer this?
Yeah, you can answer it, son.
Oh, thanks. I'm going to pretend there for a second. The response in Chicago, I think, is where we spotted it the most. Was where the difference lies between the American audience and the English and Irish audience. The American audience in Chicago specifically, they gave us so much cheering and shouting off the top of the show we'd never gotten before. We're like, what is this? We haven't done anything yet. And they exhausted themselves. They're like, woo, yeah, woo, screaming their heads off. And we didn't really know how to deal with this exactly. And then by the time it was halfway through the show, they were exhausted and they had nothing left to give. I'm like, no, lads, we got another hour to go here. Like, why did you peak so soon? We hadn't done anything.
You also couldn't embarrass the Americans. That's the problem. The show is kind of built on working with the crowd at the start and kind of building this atmosphere, and then but we were just coming in right off the top in America, and they were like, yeah, and we're like, oh no, we're all of our energy building sketches are all at the start. So they were just they just went from madness to absolute madness, and then we're like, now it's the listening part, and they're like, what?
No, we don't like to. We like to get members of our nation up on stage for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, so many.
They'll wander up. They're like, we mentioned a guy. We pointed at him or something like that. And then he was getting up straight out of his seat. This is me. This is my 15 minutes of fame. Here
Everyone's
we go.
cheering.
Everyone's stopping. Everyone's like, fair play to that guy. Yeah, go him. And it gets up and does 5 minutes by himself. We're staring at him going,
oh, wow.
You paid a ticket in here. You don't need to perform for everyone, but you want to do that. So here we go.
I'm meant to be going to one of your things in London. I hope I don't have to get on the stage. That's all. That's very much a red line for me.
Yeah.
If I mean, do you have like favourite cities, kind of like more favourite venues that you get to know quite well?
Yeah.
Belfast is always fun.
Belfast is brilliant.
Always great. Yeah, every time we go there, the crowd are just great crack.
Oh, Glasgow's another one that's always really good fun.
Yeah.
And we had great fun. Do you know where we had great fun last year was Bournemouth? Yeah, I know. It was really weird because it was the one gig we had sold out a lot of our UK tour, but it was for some reason just couldn't shift the tickets in Bournemouth.
Yeah.
And every day I would look at the sales figures going like, oh, why aren't these people buying tickets? And it was just a massive room.
Dreading it.
Absolutely. So I was really dreading it. So we went in there with like the lowest expectations. And they were absolutely brilliant. They were like the best audience ever. They were so up for it. They were kind of making up their own jokes. It's a really stupid, silly joke where there was this guy and he was wearing like a white polo shirt with like a red stripe across it, and I got him. Oh, stand up here, and I said, "Can you do me a favor and walk up and down the aisle?" And he was like, "Okay, whatever." And he just did it, and I was like, "Presenting the ambassador of Bournemouth," and like the sash made sense. But the best part about it was every time he got up to go to the bathroom, or he let somebody out of his row to go to the bathroom, he stood up. The rest of the audience would just start applauding like it was the ambassador. So they had made up their own joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was with him at half time.
Yeah, they were
the show.
They were like, and I could see they were like tweeting him, what an honor to be with whoever the ambassador. Like this whole like thing came out of it, like, and so sometimes, yeah, I guess low expectations, but that would be a great place to go, Bournemouth.
I mean, are there some subjects you find particularly touchy or particularly difficult? I mean, perhaps particularly in some geographical areas. Politics, I guess, being the obvious one. I mean, because I guess some of your stuff kind of touches on that. I mean, do you ever have any problems with that, or are most people, they kind of see the joke and they get it?
With the sort of political stuff, is it? Or
yeah, with the big stuff.
Well, we've stayed away from it mostly. We've always been no message comedy.
Yeah.
Most people kind of expect it in a show. We just put on a selection of sketches every year, and that's the show. And it's higgledy-piggledy. It's funny first, think later. And the think later people, like, you know, they might expect a theme, but there's no theme.
Yeah.
No. I mean, even with that Brexit song that we have, you know, it's not about whether Brexit is a good idea or a bad idea. It's that it's hard to break free from the union. Like, you know, obviously,
it is very funny.
One Leave or Remain thought the whole thing took really long, and we're just pointing out that actually it takes a lot longer in all these other circumstances. So
both sides can agree it took a very long time.
Yeah.
Either way, England was the butt of the joke, but not the reason people might think.
Yeah.
What was what was I going to say? What was it about sketch comedy specifically that kind of attracted you? Like, I mean, versus other types of comedy, like stand-up or...
You get to do it with your friends.
Yeah. That's the main, the key.
Yeah, it's way better. You got like, and it's not half as depressing as well as it would be for a solo stand-up. You know what I mean?
You guys both did stand-up.
Yeah, and it was never. You also like I wasn't as good upon myself, obviously, or we wouldn't be here.
No.
But
some of our parts.
But yeah, like you could kind of get the audience into like a bit more of a frenzy because you can surprise them more. You know, there's voices coming from different parts. You know, it's quick, it's full of energy.
Also,
hard to do that as a stand-up.
If you make a mistake as a stand-up, you know, you might like. I mean, I say, you know, if you're a doctor, you make a mistake. That's really bad for your job.
Yeah.
The person someone might have died. If we make a mistake in our job, it's almost better. Oftentimes, it's better. Because the crowd are laughing, first of all, and you just got to, you know, harness that laughter and create more of it. But if we make a mistake even more so than a stand-up, there's another person here to take the piss out of me.
Yeah.
And continue that on, and that could become a running gag throughout the show of like my failings in whatever I was doing. and or I'll keep doing it myself.
Yeah.
And, there you go.
I mean, how does the writing process work? Do you guys write together, or do you write separately, or?
Separately first, and then meet up, and almost like your audience, your almost your toughest crowd, really, presented to the other two, and if they don't laugh, it doesn't mean it's not funny.
Yeah. Especially the closer to a deadline we get.
Yeah.
If it's funny and we're really close to a deadline, it's like, yes, that was good. That's in the script. Next.
Yeah. We've no time for you're so panicked. But equally, if you do make them laugh, that's usually a big plus.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, so that's kind of what proportion of the sketches that you submit do you think like get past the other two?
Oh. Depends how desperate we are.
What day of the week it is? Yeah.
If you're talking about the live show, whoa, it's very hard to get a sketch past the Senate for the live show. But when it comes to because we've months.
The Heswords. Yeah.
It's very hard to get it across. But for if you're doing the videos, like we sometimes start writing a Thursday weekly video. We might start writing it on the Tuesday, or come together with our ideas on the Tuesday. So you're like, yeah. Generally, there's a bit more time pressure and a bit more we have to make something work. Plus, it's also easier to make things work for film than it is for stage. So, yeah, much better hit rate.
I mean, do you find you've got quite different comic styles that kind of complement each other, or is there quite a lot of overlap?
It's a good bit of overlap at this point.
McKenna's not funny at all, really.
No, that's a unique style that I think brings a unique perspective with it. Yeah,
it's different.
No, I think there is probably different styles of humor. I guess you would know if someone presented, if 3 scripts were just on a table.
Yeah.
And they were only written by one of us each, you would be able to tell whose was who, I think.
Yeah. Say so. Pretty well.
Fairly well, yeah.
Very well.
I mean, do you have like different comic heroes, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah, myself and Foyle would be big fans of the Marx Brothers. Some of the kind of almost, I was going to say original sketch comics, but maybe they were doing it before them. Certainly, the first one's on film. Yeah.
Other people.
Hog, you're a big stand-up fan.
Yeah, I was a big stand-up fan back in the 90s when I was. I started watching stand-up when I was very young. So started taking on board Billy Connolly at that point, and Lee Evans and all those lads. Yeah.
I mean, did you know when you were doing this stuff at uni that you wanted to do it as a career, or was it kind of like, we'll see how it goes, and then it went really well and you kind of carried on doing it?
I never once thought about it. I never once considered it, really. It just happened. Like Conor said earlier, the recession just made it doable for us to do it for a couple of years anyway, without any guilt or having to think about another career, because I didn't want to go to Hong Kong and work or something like that instead. I wanted to stay at home. So that was easy. And then by the time those couple of years elapsed, people were giving us money. So that was okay. So we kept that up.
Giving us money. They were just handing it out.
And then every year after that, it just slowly grew. So there's never been a moment where you're like, or after those first couple of years, things they've never taken a big downward spike where we're like, okay, are we going to try this really hard to make it work or not? It's just been, the fans have been great and they just keep coming back to the shows and it's growing each year. So we haven't had to really make that difficult decision, I feel, anyway.
I mean, just one final question. Do you guys, I mean, kind of what's next? I mean, are you going to carry on doing your YouTube and your stage, or are you kind of hoping to do TV stuff? I mean, I know you've been on TV a little bit, but are you hoping to do more TV stuff? Or what's the...
Asking ourselves that question.
Honestly, we literally, every so often, I think
we get a bit worried sometimes that we're going to plateau, if we keep on doing what we're doing. But what we're doing seems to be still working. It seems
people still want to watch the videos. If there's a time that comes along that we feel like people might be sick and tired of the videos, or or we can't seem to get our ideas out, or we're finding it very difficult, then I mean, we'd all love to do something more long form at some point.
Challenge ourselves. A little bit more.
Sitcom kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've tried our hand a little bit. We've dipped our we could dip our feet a little bit more maybe, but like I said, where we're doing now is working, and
it's
not
reaching,
many other people are doing it. So I think what we're doing is quite original anyway.
Well, it's a strange thing too, because a lot of people say to us, you know, especially in the industry, you have to get on the telly. What are you doing? Get on the telly. And you're like, yeah, but
that's
if we did, like if we went on the telly in Ireland, well, then no one in the UK sees us. We get on the telly in the UK, well, then no one in America sees us. And at the moment, we're gigging in Germany, we're gigging in Australia, we're gigging in America. You're just like, we just need to be reducing the audience. Because
your social media presence is massive. Your Facebook page is massive. I mean, did that kind of grow incrementally, or did you put a lot of work into that?
Yeah, it did.
Work and incremental.
Exactly. Yeah. Occasionally you'll have a video, and I think, and not so much as these days, because I think, well, I mean, arguably Facebook it's getting harder to get lots more people on Facebook, you know. But a few years ago, if you had a viral video, you might get, you know, 10,000 more people who follow your page, and now you have a viral video and you get 400 more people following your page, you know. So the numbers are much smaller now.
Yeah, YouTube has been good. That's grown steadily for 10 years. Like that's
YouTube.
handy.
I mean, sounds like we've blown our own trumpet here now, but like often people tell us, we hear it all the time, that we should be bigger than we are. So, you know, it is maybe a little more difficult to become, like, the algorithms are becoming harsher and more sophisticated, but maybe not in our favor. I don't know. You know what I mean? They're complicated, and of course we don't know what the algorithms are. So
so guys, that's been a real pleasure. It's been really interesting. So thanks a lot for that.